welcome back to my channel. Today we are doing the end of the year tag. So I'm going to talk about books that I like, that I didn't like, through 10 questions. Let's go. First question. A book you wish you could erase your memory of and reread. There's a book I loved reading and I really wish I could just forget about it and reread it. This is One True Loves by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I loved that story. That was a 6-star read for me. I loved everything. This is the first book I annotated. I needed to keep track of the quotes. I just loved it so much. I wish I could just reread it and re-experience every emotion, everything. I loved that book. Question number 2, your favorite new character. And I think the character that I remember the most, maybe because it's a recent read, I don't know, but I feel like it's Evie from Assistant to the Villain. I loved that girl. She is smart, but she's clumsy and she's funny and she's very straightforward, and she's a definition of dedication. I loved that girl. She's just incredible, and I really think that she's also badass, even if she's clumsy, and she's strong and very brave, and I love that girl. She's so funny. I love that kind of character, and this is, I think, one character that I really was like, this is someone I would love to meet in person, you know, that kind of character. That's her. The third question, the most surprising book, in good and in bad. Okay, in good, Bride by Aliza Wood. I know there are mixed reviews on that book because some people didn't like it, and I get why, I get it. But I was surprised because this book, I wasn't sure I was gonna like at all. It was like 50-50. I could or love it or hate it. And I really, really liked it. And I was so surprised because this is not the kind of book that I usually read. And I was having a bit of nostalgia about Twilight and all that vibe. And I wanted something like that, but modern and maybe well written. So I thought Ali Hazelwood could do that. So I tried, and I'm glad I did because I really liked it. And the bad surprise, The Idea of You. I was so excited because I found out that there was a movie with Anne Hathaway, and I love that actress. I love her. And I was so excited, and I was like, yeah, famous people isn't my thing, but maybe I'm gonna like it. So I tried it, and I was sure I was gonna love it. I hated it. I mean, I didn't hate it. I disliked it. Too much smart, nothing deep in their relationship. I didn't understand why they were in love. It was just smart at every page. I struggled through this book. It's so long. It's always the same thing. I didn't like it. I liked maybe the topic of famous people, and it doesn't glorify that life, and the main woman character in here was reflecting on very true and authentic questions, and that's all. But that's all. I didn't like it. It's 3 stars, but maybe it's a 2.75, something like that, but I didn't like it. I was so disappointed. Okay, question number 4. The best and the most disappointing new release. I loved Funny Story by Emily Henry. I loved this book. That's my favorite of that author. I really loved that story. I flew through the book. I loved Miles. I loved them so much. This story I read at the right time in my life because it reminded me of something that were happening to me. So it hit, that kind of book. I loved it. That was the best new release I read this year. But the most disappointing one, and I'm very sorry because so many people loved that book, and I get it. I liked it, but I was a bit disappointed. It was summer romance by Annabelle Monahan. I don't know how you say the name, but I liked the book. That's not a problem. I liked it. I liked the lessons, the life lessons. I loved Ethan. I loved him. But I was disappointed because I got bored in that book, and I think it's because I'm not used to character-driven books, character like focused books. I'm not used to that, and I got bored because there was no plot. It was just Ali and her intern reflections, and yeah, and I liked it, but I was disappointed because it's a short book. I thought I would like fly through it, and I really didn't. I struggled a little. Nothing was really going on, and yeah, that I don't think it's my kind of book, or I think I didn't expect that, so it's the reason why I was a bit disappointed. But I liked it was just not my favorite, and I just like the lessons from the book, but the actual book wasn't a great time for me, so I was disappointed. Question number 5, the most emotional book. Okay, I have several because I don't remember which one made me cry the most. I think the 3 of them were very, very emotional. I ugly cried for the 3 of them. So the first one is one I don't have with me right now. Someone borrowed it from me, so I don't have it right now, but it's called Between Two Words, and I cried because this story, it's supposed to be a thriller, but honestly it was way more than that. It was feeling so true, and the story is horrible, and it's about migrants, and this is a subject that I don't know, I'm very moved by that kind of story, so I cried so bad with this book. I remember it being like maybe the beginning of the year, or maybe early summer, I don't remember, but I read Reminders of Him by Colin Hoover, and I remember being so emotional reading that book. I cried all along. From the first chapter, I was feeling it so deep in myself. That was a great book. I loved it, and I cried so bad. And of course, recently I read The Nightingale by Christine Hanna. Who didn't cry? Who? I started crying here, and I didn't stop until the end. And at first it was like cute little tears, but then it was like ugly crying. That was awful but beautiful story. I love that book, but yeah, very emotional. Next question, the prettiest cover of the year, and I cannot choose, you guys. I have 3 options. I'm sorry, I cannot choose. So the first one is a thriller. I wanted to add a thriller because I think like for a thriller, this is a very beautiful cover. I love The Only One Left. That cover to me is beautiful. It's very vibing. I don't know, you feel the very creepy vibe, like, you know, the mansion. I don't know, that's a beautiful cover. The colors, I love it. Then very different kind of covers. For a romance, Ready or Not. That's such a pretty cover. I love it. It's very bright, I don't know, it's atmospheric. It's very spring, I feel like. I love it. And then for a little historical fantasy, I really like that cover, Half a Soul. I love the green. I love like the scissors. I love everything about that cover. I think it's very simple but very cute. It works so good. A book with new favorite quotes. Again, I have 3. The Nightingale, One True Loves, and Divine Rivals. I was surprised with the writing. That was the first time I was reading this author. Loved it. I'm gonna read one of each book. Sometimes I'm afraid to love other people. Everyone I care about eventually leaves me, whether it's death or war, or simply because they don't want me. They go places I can find, places I can reach, and I'm not afraid to be alone. I'm tired of being the one left behind. One True Loves, I have so many. It's gonna be hard to choose one. I found one. Maybe if you're the kind of person who is willing to give all of yourself, the kind of person who is willing to love with all of your heart, even though you've experienced just how much it can hurt, maybe you get lots of true love then. Maybe that's the gift you get for being brave. It's messy to love after heartbreak. is painful and it forces you to be honest with yourself about who you are. You have to work harder to find the words for your feelings because they don't fit into any prefabricated boxes. I love that book. And finally, The Nightingale. I love that quote. He loves a version of me that is incomplete. I always thought it was what I wanted, to be loved and admired. Now I think perhaps I'd like to be known. Love it. Love it. Question number 8. Your favorite new author. I mean, an author new to me. And I discovered, as you know, Taylor Jenkins Reid with One True Love. Of course, I'm gonna want to read new things by her. I loved her writing. I want to read everything she wrote. And same for Christine Hanna. I just read The Nightingale. That was the first book I read by her, and as Taylor Jenkins Reid, I want to keep going. I also read Abby Jimenez for the first time. I read Part of Your World and Yours Truly and loved both of the books. In 2025, I'm gonna just continue reading this author. I love her and I want to read again everything she wrote. Question number 9, books you finally read. I'm not gonna show you books that have been on my TBR for a long time, something like that. I wanted to do that question like everybody read those books but me, so I'm glad I finally read them. So I'm gonna show you 2 books. First, You and Me on Vacation by Emily Henry. This is not a new release, something like that, and everybody read that book but me. I was a bit disappointed, honestly, but I'm glad I finally read it. That's my least favorite from her for now, because I'm not a big fan of Friends to Lovers, and I don't like when the timeline is... I didn't really like all the summers you have to go through. I don't know. I didn't really like how it was organized, but that's very personal. But I really like the characters. Just not my favorite. And then The Housemaid by Frida McFadden. I liked it. It was, I think, 4 stars. But I was a bit disappointed because that was so predictable to me. I don't know. I liked reading it. It was a quick story, good one. I was hooked, but very predictable. Like from the beginning, I knew. It felt a bit disappointing, but I'm glad I finally read it. And final question, your highest and lowest rated book of the year. So I'm gonna show you my 2 favorite books. There are other books that were 5-6 stars read, but I want to show you the 2 that really were my favorite of the year, and then I will show you the one I least loved. You won't be surprised because I already talked about both of the books, but yeah, One True Love's The Nightingale. I'm sorry, but those stories are crazy good. The writing is good. So many feelings while reading, so many lessons. I don't know, very different because romance, historical fiction, those are very different kind of books. I kept track of the quotes. I'm not used to doing that, and I really don't tend to do that. So it means the books really were so good and well written, and I wanted to keep some of the quotes. So yeah, I really love those books. 6-star reads, favorite of the year. And the books I disliked the most were the most disappointing. I have a book in French that doesn't exist in English. It's called The Perfect Match. It's like weird because the title is in English, but it's a French book and I don't think it exists. It's a dystopian kind of romance and there was so much potential, but I listened half of this book in audiobook and I didn't like the actors' voices. I don't know, something was weird to me. It was cringing me out. I didn't like it. And then I read physically the second half and that was better, but I think something went wrong. I think it wasn't for me. Some things I liked, but not my favorite. I think I rated it like 2.75. And as you know, I was very disappointed with this book. I didn't like it. This is not a good memory for me. And yeah, same. 3, 2.75. Yeah, that's my 2 lowest rated books of the year. That was it for the end of the year tag. This is wrapping up everything I've read. I took the questions from Sarah Corey's video, I think. I got inspired by a few YouTube booktubers. But yeah, I loved that year of reading, I discovered new authors, new genres. I also disliked some books, but it's okay because I'm evolving in my reading too, and I'm so glad I did that video because I can keep track with a video of what I read, and that's crazy. I love it. Yeah, I hope you liked the video. Thank you for being here. I'm so eager to see what 2025 is gonna bring reading wise. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.